Hi everybody, this is the second video about the divorce in France. All what you must know is it explained by me, French attorney for international divorces, in Strasbourg. So, what are the different points you have to be informed about before you can decide whether you want to divorce and how you want to divorce? As I said already, you have first the kind of divorce you want to have. And when you know all four kinds of divorces, you have to know how divorce proceedings work in France. And here I'm going to distinguish between the proceedings for divorce by mutual consent and between the all three different kinds of divorce. So divorce, accepted divorce, divorce for alteration of the marital bond, and divorce for grave fault, breach of obligations. And we are going to see what is how we do registrate your divorce after it's final. So first of all, sorry, that was the wrong one. How does it work for a divorce by mutual consent? It's an act of attorney, which means that it's a document that your beloved attorneys will write together and where there will be four signatures on it, those of the attorneys, of course, and of the spouses. So the first part of it is that you have to agree on everything. That's hard. That's what you have to do. That's not the easiest part. For that, I really strongly recommend that you go to an attorney which has some skills to help you find an agreement. Because when you divorce, you usually don't get along that well anymore. That's 90% of the cases. And you could need some help to come to an agreement. So please check whether the attorney you want to go to has some skills for that. And I strongly recommend you go to an attorney which is also a mediator. But you decide. So your attorney will get in touch with the attorney of your spouse, and both attorneys will work together to write a project, draft convention, a divorce convention, divorce agreement. When we all agree on all the terms of it, the attorney will send you the draft agreement. And that will be with a letter, can also be a mail, but where there's a proof of reading. Because we have to wait at least 2 weeks or 15 days till you can sign it. Why? Because it's an important decision. It's a very important piece of paper. And the legislator here wanted to make sure that you have carefully thought about it and thought about all of the effects that you are ready to leave and to decide upon and to live for the rest of your life. So 15 days where you can't sign that document, and then we all meet all together, same time, same place, even for an international divorce. And then we all, the four of us, two attorneys, two spouses, signed that document. When that's done, that's messed up a bit with my files. It's okay. Your beloved attorney will send the signed paper to the notary, and the notary will register it in its files. So I have to go here. He would put his stamp on it and say that he'd saved it in its professional files. And then the notary will send your beloved attorney a certificate of divorce. And that will be it. Now, how does it work if you don't get along, don't find a mutual agreement, and has to go to choose another kind of divorce? That's a bit more complicated, or far more complicated, actually. We can distinguish three different phases. So first, you have to introduce the claim. You can go through pre-trial proceedings with many loops, possibly, till the point that you get to the end, and that is the decision of the judge. So first, how does it start? In principle, that's one person that will file a claim, And the divorce claim will have to be served through bailiff. And afterwards, it will be submitted to court. So the attorney will ask a bailiff to serve the divorce papers or divorce claim at that point, and bring divorce claim plus proof of service to the tribunal. There's another possibility is that in the accepted divorce, or divorce factor acceptation of the principle of divorce, of the breakdown of the marriage, that there's a joint query. In that case, you don't have to ask a bailiff to serve the divorce claim. So that's much easier. After that, the tribunal, the court, will offer you the possibility to come to an hearing, which is called orientation and provisional measures hearing. That is actually a hearing. So you may speak, which will be more or less the last possibility, first and last possibility. What is it about? It's to decide upon what is going to happen for the whole time of the proceedings, of these pre-trial proceedings, which can be very long. It may last maybe 2-3 years if you don't agree, and I'll explain you why afterwards. So if there are going to be some alimony for one spouse during the whole time of the proceedings, maybe there could be a mediation that can be ordered. And if you've got children, of course, the judge is going to decide upon where the children should live and if there's some alimony for them. But again, here, more the simple part. There will be a decision, provisional judgment, which you may agree upon or disagree. If you disagree, of course, you may appeal the case. First appeal. So after this orientation and provisional measures hearing, which is not compulsory, you may skip it if you say, no, we don't have to have any decisions on that, comes the famous part of the written exchange proceedings called mise en état. And you have really to realize that it is a written part. So you can't go to court yourself. You have to have an attorney, a barrister, is allowed to go to this court, and the barrister is going to give some conclusions. Conclusions are a piece of paper with all of the claims and with proofs about the claims. So what happens? Basically, the first person will say, my client wants the divorce and wants effects, especially financial effects. And because the judge can't afford you more or can't give you more than what you asked for, the first attorney will ask for a lot. Because if he thinks 1,000 euros would be okay, he would ask for 2,000 euros, basically. Because he would say, well, maybe there's a margin of negotiation, and also to set a number in the minds of both court and spouse. But the other spouse will read that and say, oh my God, that's really not fair. How dare the other person say that? And will ask its attorney or the attorney to explain why the other person is really not a bad person, not a good person, right, asking for so much. And so you've got these pieces of papers, conclusions, where you have to write everything down because written proceedings. So what you don't write doesn't exist. So you have to write everything down, which would prove your case, and that is that you should have a lot of money, or that the other person shouldn't have any money, or little money. So basically, it's just dirty laundry. And it gets even worse. Conclusions after conclusions. So you have to be aware of that. That's the bad game, the bad play that happens when you go to court in these written proceedings. And we have hearings that are actually no hearings. And the judge doesn't read the documents. It's only about knowing whether the attorneys think that everything has been written down and that all documents that had to be communicated have been communicated. So the lawyers, the attorneys will also simply say, I'm okay for the proceedings to be judged or to be closed, and that the case should be yet rolled over, or I need some more time to write more things down, to gather more evidence about what I'm saying, or actually the other person doesn't communicate its financial income or bank accounts information or whatever. I want this person to be ordered to produce those documents. So that's referral for another hearing, referral. And referral is every time of maybe 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks sometimes. And you must understand that it doesn't happen anything in that time for you. That's only written papers from your attorney to the next. And that's a lot to take. Also because it just becomes more and more violent. So be careful and try to avoid that. Also because of the price of it. I'll make another video about the costs of a divorce. You have, well, very often it's hour time, hour pay for your attorney. So he'll say, if I work 10 hours, it's going to cost, I don't know, 3,000 euros. If I work 20 hours, it's going to cost you 6,000 euros. And if you say, okay, but you must answer to that claim of the other person that I did that wrong, it's going to take some 3 hours more because that's the time of getting that information, writing it down, sending it to you, making some amendments to it, maybe adding some documents to prove it. It gets very easily very, very expensive. So be careful and spare your attention, your energy, and your money, and try to avoid that part. So at some point, the attorneys say, okay, we said everything, or we wrote everything, we communicate everything, we can close that part. And then it comes to the plea hearing. And I just put some parentheses because it doesn't happen much, actually. Because, as I said, it's a written proceeding. So the judge doesn't have to hear what the attorneys would have to say. And I also only put 2 figures here because very often the spouses are not asked to come and they are not welcome. They are not welcome because the judge doesn't want to hear about the bad laundry. It's not interested about how bad the relationship was. Only want to decide on the judicial points. That is how much, maybe, but yeah. So most of the time it's not being pleaded. It's only a mail saying we agree on it being sent to court that way. And then we'll have a judgment, divorce judgment, maybe again 8 weeks afterwards. And you might agree or disagree to it. Very often, at least one of the spouses disagree on it. So if you agree, you can both sign an act of acceptance, and then you're divorced, and that's it. And if you don't agree, then you have to serve the divorce judgment to the other spouse, and whether the spouse appeal it, and then it's again a few years gone, and a few thousand euros gone, or tens of thousands euros gone, or you have to enforce the decision, which is also complicated. But yeah, another point is how does the final registration work for the state to know that you are being divorced and you're now a happy single person? We'll come to that. So how does it work? Again, we have to distinguish between when you've got a divorce by mutual consent or before the judge. But in both cases, your beloved attorney will send the papers to your town hall where you got married. If it was a divorce by mutual consent, that's the certificate of divorce that the notary sent the attorney back. And if you did not choose that option, then you have to send the copy of the judgment plus either the act of compliance saying that you agree with the judgment, or the proof of service of the judgment, and a proof by the Court of Appeal that there wasn't any appeal. Because if there's an appeal, then you're not divorced yet. So your beloved attorney will send it to the town hall of your marriage. And the town hall will do two things. First, it would write down on your acte de mariage, so marriage act, that the marriage was dissolved through divorce. And it will send this information to the town hall of birth of both spouses, so that it's also written down on your birth certificate. It's going to be written down that you were married, and that you're now divorced. And that's it. You're now a happy divorced person. Or you might be a happy divorced person if you've got a nice divorce proceedings behind you, which you can have with a nice attorney helping you find a good way through it. Or you can be a very sad and angry divorced person. It's a bit in your decision, not all of it, but a lot, and a lot depends on the choice of your attorney. Really, so pay attention to it, pay great care in that, and ask really how they work and what state of mind they have in leading you through these divorce proceedings. In another video, we are going to see what the alimony is like when you divorce in France. But that's it for that video. I wish you all the best. And again, if you've liked this video, please react to it, comment it, and share it to the people you might know could use it. And you can also, of course, follow me in putting the ring on. Thank you very much for that. That helps me very much. And that could help a lot of people avoid a very bad and nasty divorce. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.